At dinner, my sister looked at my son and said, "Some kids are just born behind." Then she laughed. My son quietly put his fork down. I said, "Behind, like how you and your kids are still in my house and eating my groceries?" She froze. Mom whispered, "Please don't do this." But I didn't even want to have dinner that night. It had already been a long week and I was tired of pretending everything was fine when it clearly wasn't. But my mom insisted. She said it would be nice to have one evening where everyone sat together and acted like a family. And because I still foolishly believed that keeping the peace was worth something, I agreed. I set the table, cooked enough food for a small army and called everyone down. My daughter Layla helped me plate things while my son Jesse sat quietly scrolling through his phone at the table. He's 12. Quiet, sensitive, a little behind in school, but he's trying. He's sweet. He cares about people. And he's mine. So when my sister Erin turned to him and said casually, like she was commenting on the weather, "Some kids are just born behind," and then laughed, everything in me went cold. Jesse didn't say a word. He just put his fork down. My dad tried to change the subject. My mom shot me a panicked look, but I wasn't going to let it slide. "Behind, like how you and your kids are still in my house eating my groceries?" She froze. Her eyes went wide like I had just slapped her across the face. Mom whispered, "Please don't do this." But it was already happening. Let me back up for a second. 3 months earlier, Erin's husband kicked her out. Apparently, he'd had enough of her drama, spending, and the way she treated everyone like they owed her something. He called me in tears. I let her move in with her 2 kids, thinking it'd be a few weeks, a month at most. I gave her the guest room, cleared out closet space, and even set up a little study corner for her kids in the dining room. She never once offered to pay for anything. Not the food. Not the utilities. Not even the toilet paper her kids were going through like it was water. Meanwhile, my husband and I were picking up the slack and she was out shopping. New shoes, hair appointments, fancy handbags she didn't need. When I asked how she was affording it, she shrugged and said Mom and Dad were helping her. Turns out, they were sending her money every week. Money she wasn't using to feed her kids but to keep up appearances. And I swallowed all of it. I kept saying it's fine. It's temporary. It'll pass. Until she mocked my son at my own table. Erin tried to laugh it off. Said I was overreacting. Said she was just joking. I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "If you're so funny, maybe go rent a comedy club instead of living in my guest room." Silence. Her kids stopped eating. Mine looked down at their plates. Mom stood up and said we didn't need to do this. Dad muttered something about bad timing. Then Erin said something that almost made me throw the plate I was holding. She said, "Well, if it's such a burden, maybe you shouldn't have offered in the first place." I walked over to the kitchen, turned off the stove and said, "Cool. Then consider this me unoffering." Everyone started talking at once. Mom said I was being dramatic. Dad said I was making things worse. Erin was standing up now, yelling about how she had nowhere to go. Her kids were crying. Jesse had quietly left the table and gone to his room. I told her she had until the end of the month to figure it out. That I'd help with first month's rent, but that was it. I was done. The fight got loud. Loud enough that one of my neighbors texted asking if everything was okay. It didn't get physical, not that night, but it came close. And when it was over and everyone went to bed, I sat in the laundry room and cried until 2 in the morning. I had no idea that was only the beginning. The next morning, Erin acted like nothing happened. She was in the kitchen sipping coffee from one of my mugs, scrolling her phone while my husband and I were getting the kids ready for school. No apology. No acknowledgement. Just silence. As if the whole thing at dinner was a scene from some other family's nightmare. I noticed her kids were unusually quiet too. They didn't touch the breakfast she made, just toast and jelly, and they avoided eye contact. My daughter Layla gave me a look when she saw it. We didn't need to say anything. We both knew something had shifted. That day my husband texted me, "You okay? You sure about this?" I told him yes. I had to be. I wasn't going back on it. Erin had until the end of the month and then she was out. But something about the whole day just felt off. Like the house itself had started rejecting her. She slammed doors louder. She left dirty dishes in the sink on purpose. She forgot to pick her kids up from school once, even though it was her turn. When I reminded her, she said something like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was your unpaid nanny now." Things got worse fast. My mom called me 3 times that week, each time trying to smooth things over. She kept telling me Erin was going through a hard time. That she didn't mean what she said. That maybe I was projecting because Jesse was struggling in school. I almost laughed. My sister was living in my house, eating my food, letting her kids wreck my living room while I worked 2 jobs just to keep the lights on. And I was the one being accused of projecting? Then something happened that pushed it all to a different level. I got home from work early one Friday. I had swapped shifts with a coworker. I came in through the garage quietly thinking I'd surprise Layla and maybe take her out for ice cream before dinner. She'd been a trooper through all this. But when I opened the door to the living room, I heard voices upstairs. I froze. It was Aaron's voice. And my husband's. Laughing. Not just casual laughing. Something about it was wrong. I didn't even breathe. I walked softly up the stairs down the hall to the guest room door. It was cracked open. What I saw made my stomach drop. I didn't need to see everything. I didn't need to hear anything else. They were close. Too close. He wasn't pulling away. My vision blurred instantly. I stepped back. I couldn't think straight. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't even say a word. I walked back down the stairs like I was in a trance. My legs were shaking so badly I had to grip the railing to not fall. I waited in the kitchen. 5 minutes. 10. I don't even remember. Then Erin came down alone like nothing happened. She didn't see me standing there until she was halfway across the room. I asked her how long it had been going on. She looked like she was trying to decide whether to lie or play dumb. Then I saw it, the smug little half-smile. That's when I snapped. I lunged at her, grabbed her hair and dragged her toward the front door. She screamed, called me crazy, said I'd lost my mind. I didn't care. I didn't stop. I opened the door and shoved her out onto the porch. Then I turned, walked back into the kitchen and punched my husband in the face so hard I felt one of his teeth give under my knuckle. He didn't even try to defend himself. He just stood there bleeding, stunned. I didn't say a word. I just pointed toward the door. By midnight they were all gone. Her kids. Him. Everything. After I slammed the door shut that night the whole house felt wrong. I didn't sleep. I just sat in the living room with the lights off, staring at nothing while the clock on the microwave ticked minute by minute into the early morning. My hands still ached from hitting him. My chest was still heaving from dragging her out of my house. But I didn't regret it. I wasn't sorry. I just felt hollow. The next morning, Layla didn't ask a single question. She came into my room around 7, crawled into bed beside me and laid there without saying anything. Her head on my shoulder, her breath calm. That's what broke me. I almost started explaining. I almost said your father isn't coming back, but the words felt too raw. Too adult. She was only 10. How do you tell a 10-year-old that her aunt, who she painted nails with and watched cartoons with on weekend mornings, had been fooling around with her dad while you were working late shifts to keep the entire household running? So I just told her we'd be okay. That it was going to be just us for a while. She nodded. I think she already knew. Later that day Jesse came home from school and asked if his dad had gone on a trip. I said yes. A short one. He didn't question it. But he kept glancing at the guest room door like something about the quiet was bothering him too. Aaron's kids hadn't come to say goodbye to him. No one had. And even though Jesse didn't show it much, I knew that silence had dug a little hole in his chest too. That week was brutal. The house was quieter than it had ever been. I used to dream about silence. With 6 people under one roof, silence had become a luxury. But when I finally got it, it didn't feel like peace. It felt like something had been scooped out of the walls. My mom called me 3 days later. She'd clearly already spoken to Aaron. I could hear the edge in her voice, the conflict in her tone, like she didn't want to believe it but she knew better than to ask. I told her the truth. Not everything but enough. She went quiet for a long time, then asked if I was okay. I said I didn't know. Then she said something I wasn't expecting. Grace, you didn't have to kick the kids out too. I told her I didn't. I kicked Aaron out. She chose to take them. I didn't touch their stuff. I didn't throw anything of theirs. I didn't even raise my voice to them. But I wasn't going to let her stay, not after what I saw. She asked me if I'd talked to my husband since. I hadn't. I didn't want to. The day after that, I took half the day off work and went to my first therapy session. It was strange, sitting in front of someone who didn't know anything about me, trying to explain why I was unraveling without sounding like I'd lost my mind. But the therapist was calm. She listened without interrupting, and when I told her about Jesse's quiet fork drop at dinner, about Aaron's stupid laugh, about the note I found later on my pillow that just said, "You always play the victim," in her handwriting, she didn't flinch. He said anger was normal. That betrayal hits deeper when it comes from people you've protected. But it wasn't just betrayal. It was humiliation. I let Aaron live under my roof for free. I fed her kids. I covered for her when her son got into a fight at school. I lent her my car when she said hers wasn't working. I stuck my neck out for her over and over, and she repaid me by crawling into bed with the one person I trusted most. That weekend I started boxing up the leftover things. Her shampoo in the guest bathroom. Her kids' school supplies still on the dining table. A single sock in the laundry room that wasn't mine or Layla's. I couldn't throw them away, but I couldn't look at them either. So I put everything into one big plastic bin and left it in the garage. Then on Sunday something strange happened. I was on my way upstairs when I saw that the guest room door, the same one I'd shut days ago, was open. I hadn't touched it, and no one else was home. I walked in slowly, half expecting it to be empty. But the bed was freshly made. And right there, folded neatly on the pillow, was one of Erin's cardigans. The beige designer one she never let her daughter wear. It wasn't there the day before. I was sure of it. Underneath it was a small scrap of paper. 2 words, written in her handwriting. "You'll regret." I didn't know whether to laugh, scream, or cry. I checked every door. Every window. Nothing was broken. Nothing was forced open. I don't know how she got in. I don't know when. But I locked every door in that house that night. And I slept with a baseball bat next to my bed. I never told anyone about the cardigan or the note. Not my therapist, not my mom, not even my best friend Marlene, who'd been begging me to burn the whole family tree down since the dinner fight. I just tied it up in a trash bag like it was nuclear waste and dropped it into a donation bin next to a rundown gas station. I didn't even leave it in the usual one by the Target near my house. I drove 25 minutes across town. I didn't want anyone tracing it back to me. I know that sounds crazy, but when you see a person who's supposed to love you standing in your bedroom with your husband's hands on her back, then find her sweater neatly folded in your guest room a week after you threw her out, something inside you snaps. I started locking everything. I even changed the garage code. I slept with a baseball bat next to the bed, and I told Layla it was just because I'd seen a raccoon. She didn't believe me, but she didn't ask more either. For a few days it was quiet. I thought maybe that was the end of it. Maybe she just wanted to scare me one last time and now she was gone for good. Then the school called. The principal's assistant sounded cautious. She said Layla had been involved in a minor altercation during recess. Another girl had said some things and Layla got upset. Nothing physical, but they thought I should know. I picked her up early. In the car I asked her what happened. She stared out the window and said real calm, "Maya told me my aunt said you were crazy. And that dad didn't leave, you made him." I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. I asked her if she believed that. She shook her head immediately. No. But she said it like it was supposed to scare me. Like she knew it would hurt. That night when both kids were in bed I went into the garage and pulled the plastic storage bin out. I hadn't touched it since I dumped all Erin's stuff in there. Old notebooks, her kids' school supplies, a few clothes. I thought maybe I'd missed something the first time. Maybe there was some kind of clue about how she'd gotten in. Or maybe I just needed to confirm to myself that she was really gone. I was halfway through sorting the mess when I found it, tucked inside a pink folder that used to belong to her daughter. An envelope. My name written on the front in thick, black marker. Inside were printed pages. At first I thought they were just receipts. But then I looked closer. Copies of my bank statements. Screenshots of text conversations between me and my husband, cropped and angled to make it look like I was hiding things. A screenshot of a Venmo transaction I sent to a coworker last year when I covered their lunch. Circled in red. A printout of an old text where I vented to a friend about how exhausted I was and how sometimes I wanted to run away from everything. Each item was labeled, highlighted, organized. She had been collecting dirt. Trying to build a story. I sat on the cold garage floor for a long time, trying to figure out what her plan had been. Was she planning to go to court for custody of my kids? Was she trying to sabotage my marriage before the affair even started? Or was she preparing to play victim in case I ever turned on her? Then I thought back. To the time she casually asked if I had a life insurance policy. To when she offered to help with my mail while I was out of town last year. To when she asked for my phone password just in case she needed to use it for the Wi-Fi. I thought she was just nosy. Maybe a little bored. Now I realized she had been playing a long game. One I didn't even know I was in. That's when my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. He says you won't answer him. That's not fair. No name. No signature. I stared at it, heart pounding. The next one came in 20 seconds later. You can't just pretend like this never happened. There are consequences to everything, Grace. I didn't answer. I deleted the messages, took a screenshot first, then blocked the number. And that's when I noticed the timestamp. She had sent that message 10 minutes ago. 10 minutes before I even touched the folder. She knew I was going to find it. She wanted me to. And just like that I realized, this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Because Erin hadn't just taken my trust. Or my home. She'd been planning to take my entire life apart, piece by piece. And she wasn't done yet. The morning after I found the envelope I woke up before sunrise. I didn't get much sleep. Every time I closed my eyes I saw Erin sitting at my table, laughing with my husband, my daughter, my son. Like she belonged there. Like it was hers. I called in sick to work without even faking a cough. I didn't owe anyone an explanation. I packed the kids' lunches like normal, kissed them both goodbye, and as soon as they were out the door I grabbed my keys and drove straight to my parents' house. Not to cry. Not to yell. just to get the truth. My mom answered the door in her robe, holding a half-eaten piece of toast. She blinked like she wasn't surprised at all. I walked past her without saying anything. My dad was in the kitchen drinking coffee, watching the news like the world hadn't cracked in half. I asked them straight out, "Did you know?" They didn't ask what I meant. That silence lasted maybe 5 seconds before my mom said she mentioned having concerns about you, that you were overwhelmed, that you were doing too much, that she was afraid you'd burn out and someone needed to be ready to step in. We didn't think she meant anything serious. She looked away when she said it. My dad just stared at his coffee like he was trying to disappear into it. So that was it. Aaron had been planting the seeds for months. Maybe longer. They didn't know everything, but they knew enough. Enough to have warned me. Enough to have seen this coming. I left without another word. On the way home, my phone buzzed with a message from Marlene. She'd sent a TikTok of a woman talking about narcissistic sisters who hide behind the mask of the victim. I pulled over and called her. I told her everything. Not in vague little pieces like before. I laid it out from the beginning. He didn't hesitate. Let's burn this whole thing down. That night, after Layla went to a sleepover and Jesse locked himself in his room with his headphones on, I sat at my kitchen table and wrote out the truth. I started typing and I didn't stop. It wasn't dramatic or emotional. It was a bullet-pointed confession of everything. The night Aaron moved in. How she never paid for anything. How she mocked my kids, how she took money from our parents and spent it on herself. How she had an affair with my husband under my roof. And then the part one hadn't told anyone yet. The envelope of fake evidence, the screenshots, the messages out of context. Her trying to make it look like I was losing control. When I was done, I attached photos. The envelope. The documents. Her note, "You'll regret everything." Then I sent it to the extended family group chat. All of them. Cousins. Aunts. Uncles. Family friends. People Aaron had manipulated into believing she was the poor, struggling single mom being mistreated by her cruel sister. I hit send. Then I turned off notifications and made dinner. It took less than 10 minutes. My cousin Nikki messaged me privately. "I can't believe I ever defended her. She sent me weird texts last year about you. Said you were unstable. I thought she was just venting. Holy hell." Then the group chat lit up. People were furious. Some were awkwardly quiet. One of my uncles chimed in saying he'd given Aaron money twice this year to help with groceries, only to see her posting photos from a weekend spa trip. My dad tried to defend her. She was under stress. She didn't mean harm. That lasted 5 minutes until someone else dropped a photo from our Labor Day barbecue. Aaron and my husband sitting side by side. Her hand on his leg. His smile too comfortable. A photo I had never seen before. I didn't say another word in the chat. I let them tear it apart themselves. By the time it calmed down, it was past midnight. I was sitting in the kitchen in the dark when Jesse came downstairs holding his tablet. He looked at me like he'd already heard something. He asked if Dad was ever coming home. I told him no. I didn't sugarcoat it. I didn't give some soft excuse about grown-up problems. I told him his dad had broken something between us. That it wasn't his fault or Layla's. That it wasn't something that could be fixed. He nodded slowly. Then he said, "I still love him. But I don't think I can ever trust him again." 12 years old. And somehow he'd summed it up better than I ever could. He didn't cry. Neither did I. We just sat there for a while eating cereal out of the box in the quiet. After he went back upstairs, I put the cereal away, rinsed the dishes and took out the trash. It was the first night the house didn't feel heavy. But I knew something was still coming. Because Erin was quiet. And she's never quiet for long. It took 6 days. 6 days of total silence from Erin. No texts. No calls. No surprise visits. No fake social media posts pretending she was healing or letting go of toxic people. Just quiet. I'd thought the group chat explosion would have triggered a reaction immediately. She'd always been fast with damage control. Faster with revenge. But this time nothing. That's what made me nervous. Then the email came. It was from my husband's account. Just one sentence. "Please don't tell Layla the full story. Let me be her dad." I stared at it for a long time. Made my stomach turn. Not because he didn't deserve to be cut off, but because he had the nerve to ask for restraint. After what he'd done. After what they had done. I didn't reply. I forwarded it to Marlene, who texted back. Bold of him to assume he has a vote in anything. That weekend I booked a session with my therapist and asked her something I hadn't said out loud yet. I told her I think I want to tell Layla the truth. The real truth. Not just about her dad. About Aaron. Everything. She didn't rush to answer. He asked why. And I said because the longer I keep covering for them, the more I feel like I'm the only one protecting my daughter, while they keep playing games in the background. And I was right to worry. Because the next day Jesse came home from school with something in his backpack. A folded piece of paper. At first I thought it was homework. Then I saw Erin's handwriting. It was a note, short, messy, obviously rushed. Tell your mom I'm sorry things ended this way. I never wanted to hurt her. But she was always the favorite. That's not your fault. I hope someday she forgives me. I sat down hard on the edge of the couch. It wasn't the words that scared me. It was the fact that she had somehow gotten to him. Through school. Through a classmate. Left it somewhere for him to find. I still don't know. I texted the school immediately. Told them if she showed up near either of my children I wanted to be called. I didn't give details, but I made it very clear that she wasn't welcome anywhere near them. Then I sat both kids down that night. And I told them everything. I told Layla first. Just the facts. That her aunt had betrayed my trust. That her dad had made a terrible decision. And that they weren't safe people right now. I didn't go into graphic detail, but I didn't lie either. She cried. Not a lot. But enough to break my heart all over again. And then she said, you should have told me sooner. I knew something was wrong. It felt worse not knowing. That's when I realized I wasn't just protecting her by hiding the truth. I was also teaching her not to trust her own instincts. Jesse sat on the floor and didn't say anything at first. Then he stood up, went to the kitchen and threw the note from Erin in the trash without a word. Later that night, after they'd gone to bed, I wrote a message to the extended family. Just one more. I told them I'd spoken to the kids. That we were healing. That I wouldn't be answering any more questions and I didn't need advice. But that I appreciated the ones who chose to believe me. Most of them replied with hearts. A few said they were proud of me. The next morning I filed the final paperwork for the divorce. It's been quiet since then. The kind of quiet that comes after a fire, where everything smells like smoke but there's nothing left to burn. I've started going on walks with Layla after dinner. Jesse's back in therapy. I even went to a painting class last week just to see if I could sit in a room full of strangers without feeling watched. I could. Some days I still wake up angry. Some days I feel like I lost years I can't get back. But I'm not haunted anymore. And neither are my kids. Erin and my ex. They vanished from the map after the group chat fallout. I'm sure they're still trying to spin their version of the story somewhere. But it doesn't matter anymore. Because now everything I care about is under my roof. And this time no one's getting past the door.